What's up everybody, welcome to MIDIVERSE TV. Today we're going to be looking at the EMU MoFat sound module, and what we're going to be doing today is we're going to be sequencing it from the MPC 1000 drum machine sampler and sequencer, and we're going to be using the Novation Bass Station 2 as the MIDI controller keyboard for the sequencer. So real quick, just the way I have this set up here, I wanted to point out is we're running MIDI out of the keyboard into the MPC sequencer, and then we're running MIDI output from the MPC into the MoFat. Okay, so this sound module is multi-timbral, and what that means is that you can transmit sounds on different MIDI channels, and it actually is capable of transmitting different patches on each of the 16 MIDI channels. So what I've done is I've went through here, and so on MIDI channel 1, for example, I've got a hi-hat sound. MIDI channel 2, I've got a kick drum. MIDI channel 3, I've got some snare drum sounds, and so on. And so this is like a bass patch, keyboard patch, and they have it laid out so that you have the category here, and then the patch name, and MIDI channels up here, volumes right there. So it's pretty simple the way it's laid out. So on the MPC here, you can choose the MIDI channel, and I've got this one on MIDI channel A, or excuse me, MIDI output A. So basically what I've gone ahead and done is put 10 different drum tracks down, or 10 different tracks rather, and then for each one of the tracks I've got it set to the MIDI channel the same as the track number. So if it's track number 1, I have it set to MIDI channel 1. If I go to the track number 3, I've got it set to MIDI channel 3, and so on. Track number 5 is MIDI channel 5, and that's kind of how I have it set up. Okay, we don't have the audio cables hooked up for the MPC 1000, so we're not going to hear the click track. But what I went ahead and did on track number 1, which is MIDI channel 1, which was the hi-hat track, what I went ahead and did was lay down the note repeat, just like we talked about last video, and did the 8th note repeats. And this is what it sounds like. So we're going to go ahead and kind of use that as a metronome since we don't have the click track. It's essentially the same thing, except it's our hi-hat part. And then what we're going to do next is go ahead and do the kick drum, and then the snare drum, and then bass, and we'll go ahead and layer up the different parts. And like I said, they're all in the different tracks and the different MIDI channels, which I have kind of set up here. And yeah, here we go. Since they're all on individual MIDI channels, now we have the ability to go ahead and go back and mute any of the parts or solo any of the parts, like that's what I did right there. Soloed the most recent part that I played. So we'll go ahead and go back and take some of these other tracks out. So let's take out this main hi-hat, which we were using as the click. So that's what it sounds like without the hats. Tracks 2 and 3 are kick and snare, so we'll go ahead and leave those. Let's take these other ones out then, see what it sounds like.